What's going on, guys? We are back again for another streaming session here. Just want to pop in here Saturday and just kind of go over, our week. How it went Christmas week, right? How'd it go? I know probably a lot of people are probably taking off, not really doing too much, but we got some really good moves. I think in total, I think we took like 7 trades, all winners, and banked off it. With I think Nvidia being the biggest win. We touched the 185s on Tuesday, I believe. Let's see, Monday, Tuesday. It was either or was it Monday? We gapped up here. Was that 22nd? I think that was Tuesday. Monday we gapped up and we went pretty sideways there. That's right, because we played it Friday. So we've been pressing Nvidia. Nvidia pushed up and went pretty much sideways all of Monday, right? And I saw this as a huge opportunity, even though the market was very slow. It was very slow, and I was like, man, Nvidia is doing the same thing as QQ that day. We went SPY, banked off SPY, so we knew that, or at least I saw that Nvidia was squeezing. So it wasn't until about right here on the last hour. Here's where I slammed the 185 calls for a swing into the next day. Now you can kind of see, how that went looking at that next day, but exactly what we're looking for. We opened up and held that demand again, even though pre-market it was pushing down and trying to eat that gap right there. Right before open, we saw this and you know, I was I was already eyeing another play. I think this was Wednesday, right? Or was this Tuesday? Tuesday. I was already eyeing another play as things kind of start pushing up there. So we're already holding SPY calls, and then we entered Nvidia calls, and so we're already holding SPY midweek. The game plan was going into Monday was let SPY melt up all week, and we go longer day calls, sit back and do less. So that was the game plan. Now Tuesday looked a little grim as we kind of pre-market looked a little red, right? And as kind of like an open, we just started getting that push up and exactly what we're looking for. So Nvidia exploded there, like nonstop running all day there. Our calls went super in the money by the end of that day, right? 189 close up there. So we banked heavily on those 185s. And then we're looking for that same continuation the next day as, we ended up coming out here Wednesday before Christmas. Now, this was a half day. Things didn't really move too much. The only thing we're looking for was continuation with SPY and a few other select names. SPY did exactly what we wanted. We banked off SPY, and we're looking for a re-entry on NVIDIA, the roll up. So we opened up above this zone here, and we absolutely slammed calls. Now, we got chopped around pretty much all day. You can see right there. And I thought this would have been our only loss for the week. Even though I saw it was squeezing, it was looking like it was ready for the next leg up. The reason why I went with this trade again was because on the daily, we opened up here at a very big inflection point, right? The day before when we banked off it right there was a very important day where they closed it, because this next daily where we played it, we opened up above that 187 demand, that green zone right there. You see it. We opened up above that, and I knew any dips on the next day that we ended up playing it, which was that Wednesday, any dips on that Wednesday, I knew we were going to be all right to take calls. Even though it was a half day, it was a short day, any dips on this day. Now, I'm on the hourly, and it doesn't look really dippy at all. We just dipped into this demand. We went down to 186.68. We slammed calls around 187-ish, 187 and a half. So really just like barely $1 down. And it kind of messed with our contracts a little bit, even though we went this next week's expiration. So we went like 2 weeks out, a week and a half out. We had plenty of time. No reason to stop out of this trade. No reason to just be scared. No reason for none of that. And especially the way we closed, where we pushed right out to high of day, and we were, break even on the contracts going into Friday, which, I told on the timeline, I posted you guys that chart right before, or I posted the chart that night, which was Thursday night. Yeah, Thursday night, pretty much Thursday night. So it was, again, really good play. And we cashed out right at open. We gapped up the next day on that Friday. Did you trade Tesla on Friday? I did. And let me get to that in a second. Two trades we took was cashing out our NVIDIA calls here at open. We got that push exactly what we were looking for. Just a nice push. It was boom. We were expecting 190, 191. We were already hitting that zone, but I knew we were just going to push at open. I told the team, roll out the calls and we'll look for a new position going into Monday. We did create this gap, and that scares me a little bit. They might come down, try and fill it. If they do, all good. I still like it if they hold it, but if they fill the gap, that will be a better entry down there. So we'll wait. We ended up getting over 100% on those NVIDIA calls. Then after that, I'm stalking, I'm looking around on Friday. Things are just kind of slow moving, right? And I see Tesla. Tesla was a good one. Tesla right here now, it has two major gaps still open, one at 470 and one at 460, 456 area right in here. I'm going to be eyeing this going into next week, but I did play Tesla, and this is how I played it here. I was on the 15, and I saw, I'm on live, I'm trading live, and I'm, telling the live members, um, I'm not really seeing any good setups. I'm seeing one thing, right? And if you want to join my live trading, wap.com/Regal Capital, or if you want to know more information about Regal Capital, you can always go to regalcap.com. Now, I like Tesla here. Just nonstop kind of bleeding. I didn't find any real news on why we're kind of selling off here. Now, when it comes to my strategy, that's what I look for, the zones, right? So one thing it caught my attention was right here on this 15-minute that sliced right through this zone. Right here is where I caught it. I was like, okay, if this opens up outside the zone right here, I will take puts for the move to 475, which is, my next level down that I have right there. And so I'm comfortable with that. We played Tesla Fridays all the time. Like, it's Tesla Fridays. We love that. Tesla moves amazing, and it's a lot, and its contracts are lottos. So, they move crazy. You can make a lot of money. And this was just one of those days. And I'm going to tell you, this is one of those days with even a small move like this, right? So I called this out right here, the 475s. We open up right here outside the zone. And right there is where I say, all right, taking some puts, 475, looking for that roll down, small size. Let's see what happens. I think we end up rejecting coming down there. And we did that. And when we got that move down, those 475s went in the money up here from 480 to 475. A $5 move on the lottos still went 200%. And that's why I was like, all right, it's time to really get into this. So we ended up taking, I think, what were they? 72s and a half. I ended up rolling down again and ended up slamming on this candle as it pushed up right here. I ended up taking more on those 472s and just got that knife for those to almost go in the money. Again, those 472s, I feel like I was late to the party, even with the 472s. Still got this knife down. And even here, $4 move right here, still those contracts went over 80%, and really won on that too. So I was like, I don't know what's going on with Tesla, but I love it. I like how the hourly did try and defend here, and we pushed kind of right back to that 480, and then more puts worked again if you just kind of watched it. But, looking at this name going into, this next week, this is, bear flag breaking down even after hours there. I saw right before close, this was a bear flag, forming, and it was very possible more puts could work. Now, I don't really recommend touching Tesla unless it's calls. Like, if you're shorting Tesla, it's a little bit different beast. I don't like, the contracts are very juiced. That's why I really only play it Fridays, because it really evens things out. Now, you can kind of see what I'm talking about here with the bear flag and the gap down here. So it's very possible we're going to magnet down to 470. If we end up kind of losing around that area, we're going to come down to 460 easily. Either way, this is a big gap, and I really want to hopefully get to this Friday. If they save it for Friday, we'll see. But I really hope they end up kind of just, saving it for me there. So we will see about that. But really good play there. And I'm doing less on that. So we'll see. Also, another alternative to playing Tesla is TSLL, which is this name right here, TSLL. It's just 2 times leverage. Tesla, it also has the same gaps. It also has the same moves. It's just on a lower price point. So, of course, the contracts are extremely well priced. Look at this, $63, $64 or something out the money, $90 for something for a put that's in the money right there. And they move, especially with them, you know, these little moves right here. Sense anything that moves like sense with this stock is still a big move. It's crazy. It's all going off a percentage, right? So pretty cool stuff here. And I will be eyeing this, to be honest. I like this. And I might post this to the members right now, just kind of keeping an eye on, this setup right here and just kind of making sense of it. We're just on a downtrend, and it's very possible we continue to kind of push it down all the way there. So we will continue to keep an eye on that as this kind of continues down a little bit further down there. So we'll see kind of what happens. I do like that gap fill right there. It's about a 20-cent gap fill, but knowing this TSL, you can make money with it. So we'll see about that. Anyways, all right, looking around. So I just want to say it was a tough week for the Bears, right? Looking at our week, pretty much it was this. If we get on the daily, just green all the way melting up. That's exactly what it really was. So a lot of people, I'm sure, were probably trying to short or trying to call the top or trying to do whatever they want to do with it. And it's just, they got squeezed, low volume. Here's a lesson, and I want you guys to hear me out. The reason why I was slamming dips with calls, longer day calls, and doing less. Two main reasons. When it's a holiday season like this, not likely, it's always going to be low volume. And when it's low volume in the market, the only thing the market can do is go up. That's it. It can't sell off low volume. I don't know what it is. I don't know what, but when you're shorting, you want to be looking for low, or you want to be looking for just high volume, just knifing, panic selling. That's what you want to look for when you're playing puts. When it comes to low volume stuff like this, you're going to melt up. So the reason why I say go longer day calls and do less is because you want to avoid possibly some chop before you get that melt up. And so sometimes they might chop it for a few hours and then you get that, push up, right? And we can look at that as an example here. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, Tesla just absolute. I would say maybe Monday, right, where I slammed calls on this dip right here, and it took really all day. Not really. It took a few hours, and then it slowly melted up to that top 465, where we're up on the contracts, and I trimmed a little bit, but I wanted a bigger gain, and it wasn't until the next day where we got that move all the way melt up, 688, putting those in the money. Same day, I mean, I saw contracts that were dirt cheap lottos, one strike out the money right here on this hourly that opened up. I was on live, and I was like, the 467s are one strike out the money. They're $12 a contract. They ended up closing end of the day at 100 plus. You could have turned $100 into $1,000 easy by just taking that risk. And, that's what I said on live. I was like, why not throw $100 into this right now and let it ride? Because we know we're just going to melt up. Like there's no ifs, ands, and buts. We know we're going to melt up. So, really good day that day. We banked all throughout the week. Like I said, took like 7 trades, all bangers. And now we're surfing some small SPY calls for a continuation roll up. I truly believe we're going to push up higher here, but it all depends, what kind of happens here. The daily kind of, I don't really like the daily there on that print, but we just opened up new all-time highs as we're finally there. And the daily just opened up as well higher. And it looks good. I mean, I like it. So we are squeezing here. We're going to see how things kind of play into it next week, because again, next week is going to be low volume. It's going to be, New Year's. It's going to be possibly just more melting up. And so we're going to be looking for that, especially for SPY above 690.83 here. 690.83, we will get another push to 691.66. And then 692, 693 area will be the next target up, with 695 being the next one, and then 700. Really, SPY's going for the 700 level. That's really kind of what we're in for now that we cracked the 90s. So we should be headed for that. So don't be trying to short, especially if it's a dull kind of just low volume kind of stuff. Don't be doing that. Just go for longer day calls, right? And I would say longer days being at least 4 days out, at least 3 to 4 days out, and kind of just let it do its thing, especially if not much is happening. You got to recognize that as well. If not much is happening, sit back, do less, let things kind of cook. for you. So pretty cool stuff. One of the banger moves we caught during the week as well. One of our good trades, I would say, in second place. In second place is Google. I'm sorry, Google in second place with the banger out. As we moved out of there, this was Tuesday. Really good move here. We banked off Spy and Google this day. Pretty awesome stuff. And was that no? I think it was just Google. Just Google and Amazon ripped that day, and we caught the only two stocks that really moved up in the morning, as things took for a while to go red to green, green to red, and then finally everything went super green. But this was the main move we were looking for, and I know I took away the trend line here, but you can kind of see it. See how I drew it here. You can kind of see it here. It was a move all the way down there. I know it was. Oh man, this was a really good downtrend breakout. I like this. I drew this all the way kind of back down to like right there. So, and I really could have drew it to that bottom point right there. So the bottom point down here was kind of the pivot point right down here, where it stopped selling off, reversed, and then tried holding that next day, which it did. And the official downtrend breakout would have been that Thursday. No, that Friday. So that's where I was looking for going into Monday, right, on Google. I knew it was squeezing. And so I knew that it was squeezing here. And I thought it would possibly come that Monday, but it didn't. It did not open up above my 310 level. And that was my criteria. Need to open up above that 310 level for that rip through. It never broke above the 310, which is all right. Because you can see we dipped right into that demand, held that demand. They pushed it out and literally closed it right back at that highs there, which told me everything going into the next day. This is how I caught the massive move here. Defended demand, right? So there's a lot of key takeaways here. And I want you guys to understand this, right? No, there's no shame in waiting, right? If your trigger level did not go off, right? So our trigger level 310.06 did not go off, meaning we didn't open up above it, and it never crossed above it until end of day there, which if you kind of considered it, right, it did go above by like what, 7 cents. So if you did kind of buy the move where it crossed right before close and kind of counted that as a breakout, you would have been all right, because you would have gone calls and then be like, all right, let's see what happens. And then not even, the next day right there, you would have got that, rocket up. So you would have been all right there if you bought the cross. Now, I need to see a candle open up above that 310 for me to have taken this. And I didn't see it that day, but the criteria was there when I was reviewing this that night on stream. I'm telling you guys, right? I went live and I was like, this is the number one setup I'm watching going into the next day here. Google at breakout level. I'm seeing flow run into this. Big players are hitting this. I saw that we dipped into this demand. Buyers stepped in, bounced it out. We pushed the rest of the day, and buyers are just there. And on a higher time frame, you can see on the 4 hour, that is a massive bullish candle that I love right there. This 4 hour hammer, right? We opened up and it is red, but we opened up here and we came down. Buyers said, we're going right back up, defended. Next one was green. We held above the 308. Beautiful. The reason why I knew this was squeezing was because I had the yellow trend line going all the way up. And you can see just in this area, from that pre-market all the way to the next day pre-market, all the way into the next day where we played it. This is a big area. And so I knew we'd run to 312, 313. That was my target. So this was number one on watch going at open on this day. We opened up in this area right here. So under that 310 now. It wasn't perfect, right? I was looking for that rip above it. Now, if we just broke above it, I'm taking it, because no way we're going to reject this again. After defending down here massively on a 4 hour and we're opening up here again, getting ready to break this, had to be a little bit careful, but I was ready for it. I saw flow was on it. The volume was great. Nothing was selling off like that. The market was holding up beautifully. Volume was there. It's time to go. We had to take that calculated risk. So, I went 2 weeks out contracts. I went through like 322, 2 weeks out, played it real safe. And those contracts, went over 100%. Easy went over 100%. Did it on live. We caught it. Absolute just boom. Just no drawdown. We got in and it just pushed, 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 pushed. By the time we got to this 313, 312, I'm selling, taking my money and running. And those contracts kept kind of running there into close. Now I did knife the next day into this demand. Now this is where I was like, all right, I need to see if they hold this, right? Resistance, turning, support. We got above it to that 315. It's doing the same exact thing, right? I would like to see us open up above that 315 for that next move up. Now we opened up, knifed into this. It held. Same thing again, but this time it did not break out going into that Friday. And that's where I was like, I'm kind of just still watching this to see what really happens here. We are flagging. And so I am watching this going into Monday next week. Now we need to see what kind of happens. I want to see if we kind of push out of this or if we open up above, 315 area, then, I'm going to be looking for, those calls in that move up for continuation. But again, not really my number one pick for right now. I'm just, just looking at it saying, all right, we'll see about that. My number one pick right now is Amazon. I posted this already, and Amazon's doing the same thing. We're squeezing up into this area, 233. I saw some big players hit this. Flow is on it. It's looking good. Looking at the 4 hour, massive wicks down here, meaning buyers are defending it. Now that we got up here to the 233, 231, this is kind of, this is a downtrend breakout kind of continuation. We played the downtrend breakout over here at end of November on the move all the way up to 238. One of my members held calls all the way to 238. We went 2 weeks out. We bought the 222 area, sold 230 area. He held to 238. I was like, sell it. I was in Discord. He was like, I'm still riding. I was like, sell it. And he got a 200% plus win. That was amazing. So this is, again, we're just playing the levels right back up. And this is my number one watch going into Monday. Let's see what happens here. I'm very excited. So yeah, if you want my trades, guys, if you want to get my live trading, wap.com/Regal Capital or regalcap.com, become a member or become a top member. Top member gets my live trading, obviously everything included with membership. And you get one-on-one mentoring with me as well. We jump on a call like this. We talk it out. Why are you losing? Help you chart, help you understand, entries, exits, kind of just give you everything I know so you can start winning like me and the team. And things like that. So yeah, pretty cool stuff here. I didn't really touch Q too much. And there was no reason to it. We got a nice blast out. That Friday, Monday just kind of pulled down. Monday was weaker than SPY. I bought SPY dips. And then, Friday and then like Tuesday, it kind of caught up there. It finally broke out of that range. The only really good day I saw was that Wednesday where notice how, we held that demand nicely, right? We held this demand pretty nicely, but we didn't run to my next supply target yet. Even though SPY was way stronger in hitting targets, we didn't run to this supply yet. We got up midpoint there at 621. And, the only real day I saw was Wednesday where we opened up above that 621. And you slammed those calls for that move right up into our zone there. So 621 all the way up to 623 right there. Not a bad move right here, 2.5. And then, if you kind of just held, you would have got that move to 625. So a $4 move kind of, wasn't too bad, just staying patient, just like not bad at all. Contracts were moving fine. Everything was looking good. Yeah. So we'll see kind of going into Monday. And I like this. We're still on an uptrend here, looking at the 4 hour. If it's low volume again, then we know what to do. We'll just let it kind of melt up and see where we go from there. Next target is 626 for sure. That's a big target there, really big target. It's been a big target, so we'll see. But it would be pretty crazy not to believe we're going to have some type of like cup and handle situation here because we're right back to those highs where we sold off all the way down to 600. I would assume we're going to see a little bit of kind of pulling down and then right back, blasting up. So that's something also I'm going to be watching for just in case. I don't think I'll be looking for those puts, but I do believe I will be, looking for those dips going into that move. So we'll see. But I like this. It's good. It's good. I like it. We're right back at this area. If we can get through it, we'll see. SPY's making new all-time highs. No reason to be bearish at all whatsoever. Q is right there behind it. Let's see if tech kind of continues with it, right? We just had a lot of mixture on tech. I think that's what it was. You know, Meta didn't do anything all week. Microsoft is still squeezing here, which is absolutely crazy how much this thing is just in this range. Once this finally goes, this is going to be a pretty good move, actually. I don't know if I have the patience for it, but it's been days that this is still squeezing, days on days on days, but it's slowly getting ready. Look at these higher lows, slowly. I would say above that 489 level. Once it finally goes, I can at least mark this because I know that if we end up breaking above that, right, we've been wicking all in that area. We can open up above that. We're going to blast. I'll know that, we get through that. This 492, this will be the target, but we get through that. It's going to be a bigger break structure. Market will end up ripping with it. So that's going to be a pretty crazy move ready for that to happen. But I kind of got that, just in the back of my mind. Again, you can see the pattern is kind of doing the same thing, right? Amazon doing the same thing. That one's way ready, right? We're going to be watching that Monday. Did the same thing as Google as we caught that on Wednesday, or what was that? Tuesday. Massive push up, over 100% on those contracts. Beautiful. NVIDIA, we absolutely killed it on that as well. We caught the only massive day on it. Oh, I would say the next day when we re-entered more calls and got that move up, I think a lot of people were probably like wishing or hoping and wishing like I'm going to be completely right on this, and I was. It's just one of those where I saw it was going for it and it did it, And even me, I was like, I like the way we closed. There's no reason to be stopping out any trade or anything like that. This is very valid. Even though we spent most of, this day right here on the roll up red on those contracts, or break even red right here. It was a half day before Christmas. I didn't expect much. It was a positioning day. I said this on live. Positioning day just means you're getting into longer day contracts and doing less because you know the move that's coming. That's it. And so we're on live. We got into those NVIDIAs and I said, hey, look, let's see what happens. I know likely we're going to blast to that 190, 191. Let's just be patient. So we went 2 weeks out or a week and a half out. And it pushed right into close there beautifully. And then we got that gap up and ripped right there. Those contracts moved so well too. Like they were jumping heavily, like increasing very nicely. So, and the reason why is, we can look at this on the daily. Like this is downtrend breakout, finally printing an uptrend on the daily. This thing is huge. Like a downtrend breakout on the daily, we're going to see 200 again. We're going to see all-time highs again. Like this is absolutely crazy. Like we're close to 200, so that's not even a question. But we have a gap up here at 205 that I've been eyeing since early November, and I'll be ready for that. There's a gap at 200 that I'm been eyeing easily for a while now. So once we get to it, it's game time, baby. And I'm gonna bank off this. So let's see if we end up closing this gap down here first. You can see it's still shaded. It's not a big gap, but it's enough to kind of move it down into this range. And for me to kind of back off for now and see if they kind of cool off and then end up running it up. We'll see. But it is kind of flagging here. We are gonna keep an eye on this. Not my number one pick, but definitely keep an eye on this as we continue there. Apple not really doing too much. It's been rejecting this 275, 273 supply for days on days now. Just anytime we got near it, getting pushed out of it. So it's just trying to make its way. AMD was very interesting, right? Downtrend breakout. I really like this. I saw this day, right? Which was that Friday. So I was like, okay, let's look for that continuation. I know, AMD closed here at, 214. 212 zone. I know we're going to run to 219, 220 next. Notice how pre-market we ran perfectly to our zone there, open up in the zone, right it open, and sellers dumped on it right down to the move. This is just how tricky sometimes it will be when it comes to trading. This is real trading right here. They pre-market, they ran it all the way up. If you're holding calls and you're up, $5, you'd have to have scrambled to get out of those fast for that profit. It would cut into your profit fast if this moved, if this knifed the way, as fast as it did. I don't know how fast it knifed. I can see on the 15 how fast it knifed. Yeah, you had 15 minutes. Because one 15-minute candle erased that whole move, and you had 15 minutes to get out of that. I would say, right at open, you would have to be fire sale, sell the bids, get out of there, get out of there, um, and maybe possibly jump in those puts. But yeah, I liked AMD there, but once I saw that on the knife, that next day, I just kind of stopped looking at it, and rightfully so. But it is squeezing here nicely, rightfully so, because look how it didn't do anything all week there. But it is squeezing here in this area. It's gearing up for a big move. I don't know which side it's going to go for, but look at that. It is gearing up for a bigger move. I would say, I don't know. Is there any daily gaps? Is there anything? See, this is interesting. We're holding this demand nicely. So that's one thing, right? We're looking at the daily. You can see these past two candles holding this daily nicely. That daily down here where we end up pushing up or rejecting, it opened up, at 212.86. So, in this area, but in the green candle ended up closing above, this demand. So they fought it this whole time. So looking at on the 4 hour, I would say likely we're going to, end up moving right back up like this. Downtrend breakout so far. Possible. Now, I don't like to call this a bull flag. It is flagging. I don't like to call it a bull flag because when you say things like bull flag, bear flag, I've learned or I've noticed that you or traders create this bias with it, right? Bull flag. So you're like, it's only going up, it has to go up. And so you start to like, I would say, have that bias and blind yourself that say it goes down into this area and you're like, oh, it's perfect. This is the perfect dip for the move all the way up here. This is beautiful, and then it ends up losing that zone and ends up coming down here and you're like, oh, this is amazing. I am going to keep taking this. It makes zero sense because you just should not have that bias. So that's why I call it flags, because you can make money if it breaks up or goes down, right? Exactly how I said. If we end up opening up on the hourly down here and end up losing that 212, 13 right there, we're coming down to 208. It's going to pretty much do exactly this move right here that we saw. And we know that because we saw the last time we're in these levels, it did that. So it will do that. It might not be one clean swoop on the 4 hour like that. Or I guess the 4 hour took all day for that to do that. So maybe it'll take all day to do that, but it'll be a clean swoop like that, possibly like an hourly like that. You could see something like that. And that's why I say, don't have that bias. If it ends up opening up and it's flagging and it breaks down on that flag, then play the flag down. It works just as well on the move down than it does up. I'm telling you, just as well, up or down, you're going to make money. So I will keep an eye on AMD here for this move, possibly down here. We do have this gap down here at 200, 199, 200. I don't know if it'll go there. And I don't know how juiced these puts are or premiums. They're not too bad. They're not too bad. A little far off the money for my liking to get something around $100 contract. Again, it's not. I'm not salivating at looking for this play. I do like it. It looks like a good setup. Gun to my head, I can make money off this if if it's the only thing that I had going into Monday. If they're like Rico Capital, you got to make money off this Monday, nothing else. Can you do it? I can do it, but it's not going to be my number one I'm jumping to. So, but we will see. I'll still keep an eye on it as well. And I will keep an alert at this 217 level. Because if I get an alert there, I know we're above that 217. We're running 219, 220. I know I can make some money off that. So it's always good to have chart alerts. Anyways, gold, the talk of the town right now. Absolute massive gap up above that 400 level. We're playing this back here when we were trying to get that 400 break. It gapped up 2 days later and been on a tear. And it's looking like, I would say, we gapping up, it sells it, pushes right back up, dumps, pushes right back up. So it looks like the morning dip really, or the midday dip, slam it into, into end of day and then possibly swings at close work, maybe. I'm watching this, but hourly still a good uptrend, still moving up, making all-time highs here. Yeah, I like it. Silver's another one. I haven't been charting silver or looking at silver like that. I did, though, in the summer buy some silver right there. I got some silver coins there. So we're at the top here. Possibly I'm about to cash out. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. But it's always nice to have it. I like it. Has Rico engraved on it, Rico Capital. So it's a nice little thing to have on your desk, I think. So pretty cool stuff there. But yeah, as far as setups across the board, ooh, actually, I saw quantum names get hit pretty hard after they pushed up really. It's crazy. They got a massive push up and then they just sold off here pretty nicely. And to be honest, I should have been watching this going into Friday. This was massive selling here. Massive selling. Just reversed all the way back down. I like QBTS because the contract's so cheap. Look at this, just cheap, and you're gonna win on it nicely. Spreads a little wide sometimes, but right back to those lows, not too bad. I like shorting QBT. No, I don't. That's a lie. I don't like shorting QBT. I don't touch it. I think it's too cheap now to be touching. Way too cheap. NBIS. NBIS had a huge gap that finally got filled down there. I think NBIS, yeah, contracts are a little juice. I think it's just QBTS. INOD. I almost bought INOD somewhere in the 80s. I almost bought this. I can't believe I almost did that. I would have got locked into that. Thank God. I sold TEM in the 90s back in when was that? Around October, probably early October, and ended up running to 100. That's absolutely crazy. Yeah, some of these names, I'm not keeping up with them really. Quantum names. I'm surprised too because we're seeing a pretty healthy market right now. And these names kind of just getting tormented. Pretty crazy. Hold on, haven't touched Hood in a while here, in a long while, but I do see a little bit of a setup here, zone to zone. Looks like there's an open gap there around 122 area. Not too bad. I'm gonna keep an eye on this actually. If I get an alert above 120.91, which I'm gonna put the chart alert right there, alert me. We break above that. I know we're going to run to 122. So that's a $2 move right there, or probably go a little bit higher to that zone, zone to zone. You know how it goes. So likely we will hit that. I will keep an eye on that. Maybe you never know when these random plays come, right? If there's nothing else, all of a sudden it might come on a Lotto Friday or Thursday or something where you're like, I'm looking for a play. Oh, perfect. I found it. So let the plays kind of come to you. Don't be kind of searching or don't be kind of, forcing plays, right? Another play I was charting a little bit was IWM. IWM. People like trading IWM. I used to trade it, not religiously, but index stuff. Not the craziest, but I like it. I would say possible downtrend breakout. I'm just watching this for right now. We're at this demand, pretty heavy demand. I would say if we end up losing this demand, like 250 area, 251, I'm not going to even touch it or even think about trying to touch it or anything like that. Um, I like it, but we'll see. We'll see. We'll see about it. But if it ends up pushing above 250, 214, I have that my first alert there. That will be the official kind of downtrend breakout, opening up above this level right there, and then possibly running to, getting through that 252. But that's where I would definitely look for that move right there. That's what I'm looking for. Just that same move kind of push all the way back. We'll see. That's the only thing I'm kind of looking for, on that move, just right back to it. So we'll see. We'll see about it. I don't know. If it comes Monday or Tuesday, I'll be looking for it. If it doesn't, again, let the alerts kind of do it for you. If we're, see a little bit more selling, then I'll look for things like that. But as far as probably, if we see a little bit of selling, Tesla might be my number one first for those gap fills down there. We'll see though. I don't know. It's possible, but we played it. We played it pretty nicely on Friday, and those lottos, even a small move on the lottos went over 100%, 200%. Beautiful move. So, again, I like gap fills. I like when I see the open gaps at my levels because then that just gives me like so much confidence that it's going to work. We're just going to magnet to those levels. So, pretty cool stuff there. Target would be that 470 and then 460 right here. Hopefully, in a perfect world, we get down here kind of Monday. We kind of just flutter, push back up here, come right back down here, and then we play into Friday or Thursday. Kind of, I would say Friday. We can get those lottos dirt cheap and a move into there. That would be super nice. But if it comes early in the week, then we might just be playing TSLL for the alternative. So you can always go TSLL It is the leverage Tesla there, so you can always win off that. But just looking at the watch list here, not too many great setups. We're just going to be looking for continuation, right? Let's see what happens with SPY QQ. We're banking off that all week with SPY just nonstop melting up. So what we're looking for, guys, just nonstop melting up. We did create that gap going into Monday down here, gap and go, just left the building there. So if we somehow do see any type of kind of pull down or sell off, I might play zone to zone, but I'm really not going to be looking for puts. We just made new all-time highs. We're making new all-time highs. My golden rule as an experienced trader is just you're not going to be shorting near all-time highs. Don't be shorting near all-time highs. Don't, because you find out like this is one of those weeks where you find out not to be shorting near all-time highs because you're going to get melted up on. They're going to bounce you out real quick. So if we end up kind of coming down here, I'm not going to be looking to short unless volume is there. And even then, I'm playing it safe. I'm small sizing. I'm in and out. I'm taking the win. Only time I'm going to be looking for is if we lose this zone 685 and we're just about to tag that 682, 681, this gap right here. That's the only time that I'm going to be looking for puts this next week. But even then, this next week is going to be, a holiday, right? New Year's, low volume. So we're just going to be looking for that melts up. In realistic terms, we're going to be moving up like this. Realistically, I think we're just going to keep melting up, in a funny way. So look for, few days out calls, longer day calls, and just let it ride. I think that's the best plan you really can do, to be honest. So keep an eye on that. I know I will. I definitely will. So we'll do less this next week, keep winning, and then start January off strong. And this year strong, of course, and then go from there. So pretty cool stuff, guys. Pretty cool stuff. If you want my trades, guys, WALT.com/Rigo Capital to sign up immediately. Or if you want to learn more about the organization, RigoCap.com. Cool stuff, guys. Cool stuff. Yeah, I really just wanted to get on here and go over why I took some of the trades I took this week. We took like seven, maybe 8 trades, all winners. Some of them seemed like losers, but all you had to do was kind of sit back. And I told the team, just be patient. Just be patient. Let us melt up. We're not shorting. We're not doing nothing crazy. We're longer day calls only. We didn't touch really any weeklies except Monday. I think Monday was the only weeklies we took where it was like, Wednesday expiration for the SPYs. Those ran super in the money by Wednesday. And after that, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, we're going 2 weeks out, longer day calls. Google was like 2.5 out. And yeah, so, that's the whole game plan for right now. And really, you won't really pick that up as far as experience until you've done this for years at a time, right? How many times have I had to play this, this around these times and understand the best possible game plan to go with, right? It only took me like 1-2 years for me to be like, all right, I know what to do. And it's crazy because notice every time around this year, every time around these areas, it's the same song and dance, same patterns almost, where it's just slow melting up, right? No matter what, it's the low volume, slow melt, unless there's a lot of volume and there's a lot of maybe political stuff or some things going on around that time. We're getting those slow melts up. And so I learned, don't be shorting, let it melt, let it go. I only got to get burned once for me to learn, I don't need to get burned twice. And so that's why after that, I'm like, trust the game plan, trust the game plan. So pretty cool stuff, guys. Pretty cool stuff. All right. Let's see. Hopefully you guys had a really good Christmas and had a really good holidays here. We got New Year's. And then after that, I would say definitely, the start of January, because last year was crazy. You can ask some of the OG Rigo Cap members from last January. December was amazing, right? We're pushing up. We're killing it with calls. January, we went on a legendary swing trade streak. I'm talking 12. It was 12 to 13 swing trades on SPY and QQ, heavy size. We went in. Even the team was questioning it on some of those. They're like, Rico, how do you know one of these where I was like, dude, trust me, it was on a Friday. I was like, we're swinging calls into this Friday, into next month. I trust me, market's squeezing. We're about to rip. And they're like freaking out. They were like, okay, like I'm sized up, I'm scared, blah, blah. That Monday morning, we gapped up $8, $7, $8 on SPY and QQ, just massive gap up. Everyone was making just stupid amounts of money, thousands and thousands. We were just swinging heavy on these calls. And that was last January. Will we get that this year? I don't know. I don't, to be honest, maybe swing trades haven't been really, working like that, I would say this year, but they've been working as far as just kind of the move up, just staying patient with it, right? If you swung on Friday into Monday, you would have got that gap up, right? From I would say from 677 all the way up to 684. Yeah, you would have definitely banked on that. It wasn't a massive gap of like we got last January and just multiple days of gapping up, but you definitely would have won, especially if you're holding 2 weeks out and just kind of let it rip and you bought around 679 and they ended up at 691 high of day Friday. Beautiful. I like to do that, but also I like to take profit along the way. So I'll swing those calls, kind of like how we did this last week, right? We took a few days out as the first position, let it ride, go, take the money at like max, and then sit back, jump into the next position, let it ride. Because we know we're going to keep kind of melting up here now. I would say volume's going to restart kicking back in maybe second week of January. Maybe we'll see how that first week goes, but usually it's the second week of January things really get back into the swing of things of normal trading and stuff like that. So yeah, we'll kind of see what happens there. But really good week for us. Nothing but wins here. No losses, no red days for me. Team killed it with me. Yeah, it was fun. It was good. And I expect the same treatment. So this next week, I need you guys to win with me. We're going to sit back, do less, melt up. If we melt up with low volume, we'll be winning with calls. That's it. So don't do nothing crazy. And yeah, let's just kind of keep it simple and win just like that. So very, very easy stuff. Very easy stuff. Learn and earn. Yes, yes, yes. All right. Yeah. So again, this week there was some good setups and we caught them. That was it. The only one we didn't catch was Amazon. It ripped the same time as Google. Now we're looking at that going into next week, and it was the same day it ripped as Google right here. Not a huge ripper, but again, we see that it was squeezing. I saw it was squeezing, and if we broke above that 230 level, exactly what I was eyeing, I knew we were going to run to 231, 233 area, and it did hit a high 232, a $2 move. I don't know if you count that as a super banger or anything like that, but it's still a good move. And now it's squeezing in this area, and so we're going to be looking for that next bigger move area, because I have zone to zone up here going from 233 all the way to 235. So another $2 move, I'll take it. But there's a lot less traffic in this area, and it's possible we can rip through that 235. So we'll see. We'll see about it. We'll see about it. But that's the only other kind of banger kind of trade that I saw happen that I did not take. And it was all good because we took Google and Google moved away like a lot better. So I'm not mad about it. We'll see about it. We'll see. Yeah. All right. So if you want some mentoring, wallop.com/real capital, sign up for some one-on-one mentoring. We can get it done today, tonight. We can get it done Sunday. We can get you ready for this next week. We can get you ready for 2026. Keep me in mind. Brand new year, brand new stuff, brand new winning, brand new all that. So that's new opportunities to get it right and do things. That's what I love about the market and trading. It's just, you could really, any opportunity in the market will come, and they come daily, right? You could really catch something amazing and change your life. It's absolutely insane. I still think about plays that I've seen this past year that I didn't take and saw that it would have been life changing for sure. Now, we took some pretty life changing trades early January. We caught Google, around like 170. I think, yeah, it was like around 177, 178, and ended up ripping to over 200. Like the next week, we swung calls on a Friday, ended up ripping. Like we caught some like insane trades, like absolutely insane trades that again, could be considered life changing. So, as long as we stay on top of it and look for, the setups and just stick to our game plans, we're gonna keep catching those massive plays, right? Like go out open, and I try and tell the team this as well. Like we catch these plays all the time on SPY and QQ. We catch them on individual names. A lot of people are scared to play the open. I'm the king of the open, baby, and this is how I do it. I'm looking for those moves, and we get those, massive pushes out, and it's beautiful because that's how you grow an account. That's how you grow. That's how you really make a lot of money. And it's good stuff. We caught QQ here beautifully. Break above 611.75. This one was awesome. I can't even lie. And you know why? And this one was on Friday. Live trading, banger. We caught it Friday. And the reason why I love this was because of this. We saw the previous day, we bounced up downtrend breakout, but we couldn't break above this 611 zone. Notice how the 611, 610, we just kept hitting it, wicking it, but no opening up outside of it, right? Notice how the next day on that Friday, I knew we were going to blast because not only did we gap up there, you can see the gap up overnight. They tried to close the gap overnight. They left a little bit open, still bullish. We held that demand. We pushed right back up to this right here. Right at open, I was like, oh, dude, like I know we didn't open up above the 611, which sucked because that would have checked every single box as far as, I'm slamming this full porting type style. Now, the reason it didn't, but the reason why I still went with it was because there's no way the first hourly and all that finally opened up here. This was the first one to open up above those highs there, above those body highs at least. So I was like, we got to take it. And so the volume was there. We started pushing. And I was like, let's go for it. No way we lose here. Like there's no way. And it ripped right from 611 all the way to 616, $5 move on some lottos. Man, we banked off that. And these are just the same setups that we're just playing nonstop over and over again, and that's what I look for. So, the Google, the NVIDIA that we caught this week, it wasn't random. These are the same plays that we catch, the SPYs, QQ. That's how we do it. That's how we do it, baby. So that's what we're looking for. That's how we do it. And we're going to continue to work on that and continue to, keep playing into that and sticking to our strategy because that's what's working for us nicely. And that's it right there, baby. That's it. So shout out to you guys showing up here, 130 plus of y'all showing up here. Questions, let me know. If not, I think we should be good. Like I said, wap.com/Regal Capital. Go explore if you want some one-on-one mentoring with me on how I caught, some of these plays throughout the week, how we took 7-8 trades this week, all green, all winners, all went over 75 plus, over 100%. I trade big tech. I only trade SPY, QQ, and big tech. That's really it. If you need charting help, option selection, things like that, I got you guys. If you want to join the team, again, wap.com/Regal Capital. If you just want to learn more about Regal Capital, regalcap.com. Learn more, become a member, top member, live trading. I do all that. It's fun. It's a good time. Learn a little bit. I got AI as well, RealCap AI. RealCap AI really helps with some of these trades. It alerts calls and puts on our watch list as well. And some of these, I didn't trust. I think it was what day? Oh, that was last week. This week was interesting. I thought for the first time when I slam calls and RealCap AI alerts calls, I've won every single time on that. It's like 10, 12 times now that where I've been in a position and then it alerts. And I've taken a lot of its alerts and won on it because it's based off my strategy. Now, this was one of those where I was like, am I going to lose on this? We took Monday morning SPY calls 3 days out, knowing we're going to blast into the week. I literally bought that red candle right there, and it alerted 30 minutes later calls. And I was like, are we not going to run to my 685 demand? Are we not going to get that move up? Am I going to be wrong? Are we going to lose for the first time? Me and the bot? And I was, nope. And we actually blasted through there. Do I trade OTD? I do. I trade on Fridays. Usually I trade lottos on Fridays, or if the setup is, massive enough to where I know we're going to really bank on it like fast. I do trade lottos. They're called lottos, 0DTs, lottos. And Tesla was one of those where we took lottos. We knew we were going to dump out there, and those went over 100%. Those are pretty awesome stuff. So yeah, we touch weeklies, 2 weeks out, lottos. Not too much lottos, unless we know the game plan is going to work. So if you're trying to join the team, wap.com/Rico Capital, join the team, start banking with us, baby. We had a great week. We had a great month. I posted my P&L for the month. I posted it for the week as well. No misses on the week. I think I had 2 or 3 red days in December. Those were probably just choppy days, and they were small red days. So November, I had 4 red days. 2 of them are small. The other ones were just kind of normal, where, I don't ever really lose my first trade, but those 2 other red days in November, I lost my first trade, and I kind of just didn't try and claw it back or do anything crazy over trade. So what time frames do you stick with? I stick with the hourly, the 15-minute and the hourly, and sometimes the 4-hour, but mostly the 15-minute and the hourly are the GOAT. That is like the best time frames to be on. 15-minute for kind of day trading, hourly for the bigger move, but I still, use the hourly as a day trade too, if we're playing the hourly. So pretty cool stuff. I love those time frames. Those are some of the best that you can do. So join the team, guys. If not, if you're tuning in on the YouTube, at least follow Rico Capital on Twitter, X. I post a lot of free stuff there, charts, updates, stuff like that. And I stream live there a lot of times, just there instead of YouTube, even though I'm getting back to the YouTube grind as well. Posting a lot of videos, a lot of my streaming sessions on YouTube. Check them out right now. I have a few of them up already, and I have a lot of them scheduled to post. Keep an eye on that. So I got the game plans all set for Monday. I will stream again tomorrow night. Just kind of look at futures and how things are looking overnight. I trade a little bit of futures, right? I do trade a little bit of futures, just kind of dabble in that, make a little bit of money in and out, make a couple $100, nothing crazy. But I mostly trade SPY, QQ, options, and we kill it. We kill it. I love option trading. I love the charts. I love it. What can I say? I love it. I love it. So it's always a good time. And I appreciate all y'all, DMing me, and, all the new members as well. Y'all are, let's get ready for 2026. Y'all are killing it with me, and I love it. Let's keep winning. Let's keep earning and learning. So like I said, if y'all need anything, guys, at RicoCap.com, I just wanted to pop on here, stream, go over there, our setups over this past week, kind of review how and why I took some of those. I think it's very important. A lot of people, don't really know what they're talking about when it comes to, hey, this stock's going to do this, they're going to do that. And it absolutely does not do that. I'm over here like, hey, this stock's going to do this, and it's going to do it the next day. Be ready for it. This could work. This could work. Be ready for it. And so that's what I love about that. That's what I love about it. I've been trading futures, but want to take a look at options as well. RioCap AI has future alerts as well, and I love the future alerts on RioCap AI. If you sign up for that, you get access to the channel, and it gives you really good alerts. I take them as well. That's really how I went on that. But yeah, if you're looking to get into options, I'm your guy. I've been killing it nonstop, having fun over here. Now, I know you probably see these zones in my charts, right? This is my strategy, the Rico Cap zones. So they tell you right here, right? This green zone, buyers, where buyers are at. Notice where buyers ended up holding it. And then notice what other color we have and where it ran to, sellers, red. Notice how we ran it up there, and we did not go higher on that Friday. And we kind of held there. It tells you where sellers are at. So it's very simple. I keep it super simple for my members. I post the game plans and the charts daily. And once you've been a member for kind of long enough, you keep the zones, the charts on yours, SpyQ, and you can know where we're at all times. And the future alerts, even if you follow me, that works with futures as well. I have a decent amount of members that just trade futures, and they take it based off my SPY or QQ call outs. So SPY, ES, QQ, MNQ, same thing. So, they bank off that, and, they can get a bigger gain because it's not options, right? We're kind of against time and, theta and stuff like that. There's other factors to it. Futures, not too much. You're not subjected to, any type of, I would say IV, right? The intrinsic value. So how a move comes about as fast as it does. That's what we look for as options, right? We're looking for to get to one level to the next level in literally the least amount of time possible. That's what increases the contracts the most. When it comes to futures, it does not matter if the move pushed up, came all the way back down, then pushed all the way back up. It would still be priced. You'd still have that gain once it pushes back up. For options, you would not have that gain if it pushed right back up. For that, if it came down for a retest and then pushed right back up, it would not be at the same price it was before it pushed down. I know it's a little bit weird, but yeah, it's a race against the clock a little bit when you're playing options. And that's why I say you want to combat that by, going, week out, 2 weeks out, and that's why I only go lottos if I know right then and there we're going to bank off this position. Because if I know the position is going to work or the stock's going to rip or dump and it's going to work right then and there, then there's no such thing as a risky contract, because any of those contracts would work. It's not about the lotto. It's not about 2 weeks out. It's not about a week out. It's not about 5 weeks out. It's about the move. And if the move isn't risky and it's going to work, then the contract expiring that day are not going to be risky then, because it's going to work. You get what I'm saying? So I think there's a misconception when it comes to that, but yeah. Yeah. Any questions, let me know, guys. But like I said, check it out, RegalCap.com if you want to become a member. If you guys want, the RegalCap AI, futures alerts and stuff like that, WAP.com/RegalCapital. All that just leads to WAP.com/RegalCapital. You can sign up, get access to the Discord. That's where you can get access to, notifications straight to your phone, whatever you need right then and there. RegalCap AI, my trades, my live trading. I do live trading in there Monday through Wednesday, sometimes Thursday and Fridays. This past week, I did, the whole week. So it was good. It's a good time. Good time. So join the team. Let's learn, let's earn, let's win, and let's make 2026 absolutely incredible, guys. So let's do it. If you're just tuning in to the stream, it is going to post once I get off here, so you can watch it back. Shout out to 150 of y'all showing up here. Appreciate y'all showing up. So again, I'll see you guys out there. I will stream tomorrow night around this time, so show up, be ready, so we can have a fresh new week and outlook ahead. It is a kind of shorter week because it's New Year's midday, so we're going to expect low volume melting up again. We'll see. But let's be ready for it. We do have some good setups, so I'm ready for those. If those go off, maybe I just size heavy on one of those good setups and, not call it a week because, I'm showing up every day to trade, but maybe just size real heavy on it, bank off that, and then just maybe go a little small size on the rest of the trades. A few of them, be a little picky, and that's it. Make a good week, see what happens. Anyways, all right. Appreciate y'all showing up, guys. Have a good rest of y'all's weekend. I'm going to stream again tomorrow night as well. Have to be ready for it. Good week. We had a good week. I'm making money. No misses. All good trades. All banger trades. Money in the bank, baby. So let's make some money. All right. Have a good rest of y'all's evening, you guys.